So, UX writing challenges are pretty popular in the UX writing community, especially among newer UX writers who have little to no real-life project experience with UX writing and need some projects for their portfolio. However, there are good reasons why you should be kind of careful with using these challenges, and today I will tell you why that is the case and what you should keep in mind if you still want to work with them. Hello everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech, and on this channel you will find everything you need to know about especially UX writing. So if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. So today we talk about UX writing challenges, also called UX writing prompts. Now, if you don't know what these are programs, usually free programs, where you can sign up with your email address and then you are being sent UX writing prompts in a certain frequency. Now, these prompts usually look something like this. So you receive a short scenario for which you should write a certain kind of UX writing text element, and then you are also given some limitations. Usually that is a character count or a time limit, and then you can write some UX writing copy and usually share it in a Facebook group or share it with the organizers of these challenges in order to get some feedback. So this is basically what these challenges are all about. And in the community, these challenges are pretty popular. Many UX writers use them to just train their UX writing skills, practice UX writing basically, and actually these challenges are a pretty good way to do that, especially for UX writers who have little to no experience with writing UX copy in practice. But there are still several big problems with these UX writing challenges, and I think every experienced UX writer should probably be able to recognize that. For me, it's definitely the big elephant in the room, so let's break this down a little. Now, the first thing is, we usually don't get any information about the brand and the target audience we are supposed to write for. And a brand voice is not something that is nice to have. It is absolutely necessary for writing UX copy because, you know, the things that I say right now to you can be said in 30 different ways, okay? Right now, I could say the same things in a funnier way, a more aggressive way, a more emotional way, etc., okay? The same is true for UX writing. If I don't know about your brand voice, I don't know which path to take. And in practice, that means that I might turn your Gucci website into a Walmart website, or I might turn your first-class Michelin star restaurant website into a fast food website, or I might even just turn your Google app into an Apple app. And of course, you don't want that. You want consistency among all touch points, and you want your UX writing to represent your brand properly. And the same is true for your target audience. If I don't know, for example, how tech-savvy your users are, I don't know what kind of terminology I can use. I don't know what I need to explain and what I can take as a given. Also, for example, knowing what your users are excited about and what they are afraid of helps me to choose when to write in an enthusiastic way and when to write in a more assuring and soothing and calm way. And not giving any kind of information about the brand voice, these challenges teach us that there is no such thing as an individual brand voice and tone in good UX writing. And good UX writing in this scenario is always clear, concise, and a little quirky. And that's also what I see a lot with people taking these challenges. The voice and tone of their UX copy always sounds the same, which is natural because we don't teach these people about the broad variety voice and tone can have in UX writing. So we're not given any information about a brand, but what we are given is a character limit, and that is a problem because this may signal to new UX writers that they are just service providers to whoever makes the design. So what this suggests is a UX designer or whoever makes a design just tells you, hey, this is the design, this is the character limit, write something for that. And this is a very conservative view of what UX writers do. You know, they're not part of the design process or the product concept face. They are just consulted when text is needed. Then a character limit is thrown at them, and then they're supposed to provide text for this. End of story. And this concern has already been raised in one of the Facebook groups of these challenges, but it was brushed off pretty fast and not really addressed, which is a shame because the poster of this concern definitely asks a valid question and definitely has a point. Because of course, in reality, advanced project setups work more with a content design approach. So UX writers are involved early on in the process. Of course, they have a say when and where to write copy and how long that copy needs to be. Actually, they're the ones who kind of decide on that. And, with all of that, these challenges don't draw a realistic image of what a UX writer does. And they will still help you to learn how to produce text, but producing text is just a very small part of what a UX writer does. Most of the time, the job of a UX writer is about researching, collaborating with others, etc., which is also why I don't recommend using these challenges for your UX writing portfolio as they are. Because when I personally see a piece of copy without any product context, without any brand voice context or target audience context, I cannot tell whether your UX writing is good or not. It may be good for Walmart, it may be bad for Gucci, it may be good for Apple, it may be bad for Google, and so on. And you being able to stay within a character limit doesn't tell me anything about you being a good UX writer or not. Because if I don't know who you write for, I don't know if your UX writing is good or not, and I won't be able to judge your skills as a UX writer. Instead, working with these challenges only shows me that you are definitely trying, but that you're also not very advanced with having an adequate understanding of what UX writing actually is all about. So from my point of view, there are definitely some better options to fill your portfolio when you have no experience as a UX writer, but I promise we will dedicate a whole video to just that. Now, another thing that I consider slightly problematic is the feedback culture that I see, especially in the UX Writing Challenge Facebook groups. For example, because their participants receive sometimes no feedback at all, or feedback is given only by the same few people. I have also seen non-native English-speaking participants who made a lot of spelling and grammar mistakes, and they were being told, hey, we can't help you here. Go look for a group in your native language, which I think is not necessarily the most compassionate way to deal with a situation like this. And of course, this is nothing against the feedback givers, okay? I assume they do that in their free time, and of course, no one is obliged to give feedback. No one is obliged to be kind. But I wish there was a more structured and more diverse and more reliable feedback system in place that actually supports participants in their learning journey. So these are my major points of criticism, but as with everything in life, it is what you make it. So here are a couple of tips and tricks that you can apply if you still want to work with these challenges. Now, first, you can just work with a real brand. If you're being asked to write copy for a supermarket, for example, decide for yourself whether you want to write for Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or Aldi or Costco or whoever. This will help you a lot to work with a real brand voice, and it will help you make assumptions about the voice and tone, which you can also include, like in this example right here. Second, do your research. Go to these companies' websites and see what their brand personality is all about, what their brand voice may sound like. Maybe they even say something about their brand identity or their target audience, etc. And then you can also include information about the target audience, like it is done in this example right here. This is an amazing example, which also includes general information about shoppers in the US, as well as a specific buyer persona. And as you can see from that, the participant also derived a voice and tone, which is very helpful. And by the way, I will put all of these case studies in the link box below. Third, put your prompt in the context of a flow. UX writing is mostly about guiding the user through a whole flow with the ultimate aim of letting them reach their goal. That's a rhyme. So instead of just writing the piece of copy, say where in the flow it appears. Maybe work with a fictional user journey as it is done right here, where you can also see that the author anticipated the user's emotions to see which points of the user journey are especially critical. Very nicely done. Next, please include your approach and your rationale, your thought process, if you like. Here, you can see that the participant asks herself some questions and answers them with the help of using empathy for the user. And with that, she explains her writing decisions. This is definitely one way to do it, a very good way to do it. And what you can also do is include the lessons you've learned, so your takeaways from writing a certain piece of copy, for example, like it is done here. And remember, you can always pause here and read these examples for yourself, okay? So all of that will help others to judge your UX copy and your UX writing process and your skills, which is of course super helpful if you want to put these challenges in your portfolio. Now, another thing that I recommend is really make sure you receive feedback from a senior UX writer if you are a beginner especially. And if you don't get feedback in a group or from the organizers of these challenges, find a mentor, for example, on ADP list, or send it to someone who is just open to sharing feedback. And also include feedback and improvements. Here you can see that the participant included the improvements she made after having gotten feedback. And you can also see who gave her feedback, which is also very interesting. Nicely done, great job here. So this will show people that you know how to turn feedback into writing decisions, which is definitely an absolutely useful skill as a UX writer. And my final piece of advice is make it yours, okay? I saw this great example of an Italian UX writer who just completed the challenge in Italian, I guess because this is the language that she usually writes UX copy in, which is a great idea. Also, she uses an extended time limit because that just made more sense to her. So these are some examples of how you can adjust these challenges to make them work for you, okay? Now, when you include all of this, I don't see a big problem with also putting your results in your portfolio, because with this additional information, you help hiring managers and lead UX writers to actually understand your thought process and your approach just a little better, and ultimately that will help them to judge your UX writing skills. So this is how you can still use those challenges for your portfolio. And if I were to address the creators of these challenges, I would say, hey, you know that some of us UX writers want to use these challenges for their portfolio. Why not just take a little extra time to include information on the flow, the brand, and the audience? Because this information would really make these UX writing challenges the perfect tool to train your UX writing skills, okay? But as I said, it always is what you make it. So if you're not given this information, work with a real life brand and add this information yourself, and then you're good to go, okay? So those are good words to end this. So thank you for watching. Feel free to share in the comments whether or not you have worked with these UX writing challenges yourself. If so, what are your thoughts on them? And also make sure to hit like and subscribe, and also make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I also share free tips and tricks about writing in tech and especially about UX writing. And other than that, as always, there is nothing else to say for me except keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.